Well, I guess, this is the start of a series where I just play a bunch of old versions of Minecraft and then mash up all the terrain generation at some point. This is the first version that there is available. Like, the absolute first version that we have. And, I don't know, I've seen Method do the, fucking first broken block, first placed block, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah, this version is weird. You can see there's infinite grass plain everywhere. Cobblestone texture in the ground. These are textures pulled from an older project, apparently, that Notch was working on, known as Ruby Dung. You can't place anything other than cobble, except for this one specific layer where the grass is, where you can only place grass. Not totally sure what to do with this terrain, but we'll fucking start on it anyway. There's not a whole lot I can do, though. Maybe I'll do a small castle, or something to that effect. I do plan to, eventually release the completed world as maybe, like, I don't know, a survival map or something? I feel like that would be potentially fun to fuck around on. But, yeah. For now, I just build, I guess. Because there's not a whole lot else to do in this version that's basically a super flat world. And nothing else. There was the Cave Game Tech Test. We don't have that version, and I don't know how to get that terrain, though, so sadly we're limited to just starting here, but I feel like there's ways to compensate later on that'll be more than enough to make up for it. Let's... Oh yeah, some interesting things to note in this version. Falling is strange. The momentum you have is, like... It seems like the physics are very floaty and have, like, a very either low terminal velocity or, the physics either have what, like, I think is either a low terminal velocity or they're just weirdly slow with gravity. It's one of those two things. I'm inclined to believe it's terminal velocity, but it's very floaty in this version. As you can probably see with me just jumping around while I build this. So, how exactly am I planning on doing this, you might be wondering? There's various world editing tools and shit that have existed over the years, and I am gonna probably be relying on a lot of them, honestly. I'm definitely gonna need to use them to staple a bunch of different worlds together from before the world generation was infinite, another notable thing about this version. But, yeah. I'm gonna probably end up deleting some chunks when I get to, 1.18 or whatever, like, before I get to 1.18, so that it'll, like, smooth out transitions between them, and, I'm also going to attempt to do interesting things with, like, I don't know, the far lands and, like, the end and shit. I'm gonna try and bring in as many different world generation types as I can, just because I feel it would be very interesting to play on a world that has all of them. Or at least as close to all of them as is possible. Which is gonna mean there's gonna be a lot of weird terrain generation features that we're gonna get to see as we progressed through versions, because there were pretty interesting things at certain points in development that no longer exist in the current game. I'll also include things like maybe chunks from notable seeds, like the seed in the skull painting for one, as well as the Herobrine seed, both of which were found by the Minecraft at Home team a while ago. Also maybe the old title screen seed, maybe several of the title screen seeds actually. Yeah, though I just think it would be fun to have all of them in one place. Might also include stuff like notable builds from certain periods of time. I'll be sure to have all the, like, credits and shit for all those when I, eventually release the world, if I do have any of them, but... yeah. This is very rambly, very... whatever. But yeah, that's probably what a lot of this series is gonna end up being like. Kinda just me going on little rambles as I do weird little things in weird old versions of this game. Maybe I'll do some fun things with data packs and stuff in the final version of the world, I don't know. But as of right now, I'm just building this castle, and probably... well, I guess I could, do polls and stuff, actually, on, certain ways to interact with the world. Like, do I include new blocks in this part of the world? Do I leave it as just flat, like, grass and cobble? That'll be up to viewers, I've decided right now. We're keeping any old builds, but if I do add anything, there will be polls on, like, should I add things? Should I have them be done a certain way? Should, like, I don't know, a certain structure be treated as, like, I don't know, the stronghold of the world, maybe, or something to that effect, so it's just this pre-built, not really vanilla thing, but it has the, end portal within it. I don't know. Yeah, though I guess that'll be up for, the people watching to decide, so... yeah. This is my first time doing a video format similar to this. I'll go over, the things that are added in each version too, why not? Any notable changes I can think of or find on the Minecraft wiki. This version, though, is just a flat plane where you can place and break blocks, and there's a specific layer that is specifically grass. One thing that I am thinking of doing as of right now is, so with, like, certain versions of the game, the, terrain only goes up to about 64 blocks, I think. I think that... pretty sure that applies to this version, actually, but, obviously there's gonna be some sort of an issue if I try merging that into a full, like... how many blocks is it at this point, world? It'll be, difficult to do that without any modifications to it or whatever, so I'm thinking about, maybe bringing in some Farlands chunks and then surrounding an area that's like a rough square or whatever, and just having that be, a separator between higher and, like, lower terrain generation. If that, makes any sense, because 64 is the sea level! Or 63? in later versions. I don't know why they lowered the sea level, but it happened. But, yeah. That'll be a thing to look forward to, I guess. Weird little things like the Farlands, and, any other notable terrain oddities I can manage to squeeze in here. That was lag, I don't... Why did it just lag? Odd. Place, 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 place. Yep, no. Okay, got it. I have to be a bit more clever with placing these. Oh well. Oh yeah, the lighting system in this version, it's... You only have fully bright or fully, like, unlit blocks with the lighting coming straight from above. There's no day-night cycle or anything, so it's just that, I guess. Very primitive. Doesn't take too long for that to get changed, but possibly of note if anyone decides to do anything similar to this. Is this a possible jump, actually? I don't know. Oh, yeah, no, it's doable with the weird physics in this version. Interesting. I think I'll finish up this small castle and then we can update to the next version with no real notable changes. Well, I think there are some changes, actually, but it's nothing terrain generation-wise. I believe the next version, though, does add a certain mob, which gets added and removed, one or two other times, I believe. And, certain references were made when they were removing parts of its code. If I recall correctly, at least. Yeah, we're fucking talking about the mob that got the first removed Herobrine little note in the, patch notes. The human mob should be in the next version. Though it's the, passive variant. There is a hostile variant as well, which, to my understanding exists as basically, like, a quirk of spawning in, like, a non-specific hostile mob, kind of. So it's like... Basically there's like the monster class or whatever, which is just the base code for anything that's a hostile mob. Like, no specific model data. So it, like, I guess uses Steve as a default. Same applies with the, passive mob class, at least, I believe, but, like, there was a period of time where you could spawn in a, like, monster mob, which isn't anything, like, not a specific mob, and it'll just spit out a hostile Steve. But that won't be for a while, I believe, so... for now, what we'll get is, like, just some Steves who flail their arms around weirdly, which we'll get to see in a minute. Let's put a little path in front of here. Don't think there's anything interesting about the terrain in this version compared to the next, so once I update, we'll just continue building here, and maybe the first episode will be that. Yeah, though, I think this is a decent little castle. So... on to the next version, I guess! Yep, those are fucking Steves. Many of them. Let's see. There's not really much more to do in this version than the previous version, so... Yeah. I think that the only thing that this version really did was add, these fuckers flailing their arms around and jumping all over the place, like... Seeing as there are a bunch of Steves here, I'm going to do something stupid that I tend to do when this mob exists. We're going to make the Steve hole. Why is it called the Steve hole? Steve's fall in it. Once a certain function is added, I'll also have even more of a reason to call it a Steve hole, but let's just build the hole itself. Oh my gosh, there's already Steves in it. Oh yeah, R key. The R key teleports you randomly. In this version, it teleports you a lot, so I'm not going to hold down the key, but does randomly teleport you. And Steve just fell off the edge of the... Okay, well, let's show everyone what happens when you fall off the edge of the world in this version. You just keep falling forever, and also the... Yeah, there's no bedrock down there. You get a bunch of weird artifacting because of the fact that it's, like, not really using any MIP mapping or whatever, I think. So it's just weird, like, TV noise or some shit looking almost. Like, then you can sometimes pick up on weird distortions of the, cobble texture with that. I think at some point it might, I don't know. It's weird. Does weird things to the texture. Yeah. Yeah. This effect exists in a lot of older versions of this game, and to my understanding, it just generally in a lot of older games, but, they did do things to... Oh, and if you fall for long enough, the world will, go out of render distance, I guess. But it's coded weirdly. Yeah, though, that's a thing. The, MIP mapping or whatever is basically just less detailed textures that don't have that sort of artifacting for when you're, like, further away or whatever. Which is interesting. Let's see, what else could I build, though, is the question now. Let's see. What can I actually build that's an actual build? Well, fuck it, actually. Good castles have moats, so let's dig a trench around it. There's not a whole lot to say about this version. There's just Steves now. Well, I don't necessarily need to do this. I'll still make the ravine, but, let's see. What should I do in this world with things, I guess? I could maybe make... I could make a, like, rudimentary village or whatever. I don't know if there's gonna be... That'll be a good poll to do, actually. Do I put villagers? Oh, hi, Steve. Do I put villagers in this village that's going to be, created around, this particular old area? You can also, I guess if you want to, leave build suggestions in the comments, and I might get to building some of those things. Gonna need to make sure I get the old villages in the, terrain generation that we're gonna have. That's those are fun to have. The pre-1.14 villages. Guess there's a question of how to handle, like, update aquatic. Because, specifically in terms of, like, do I update oceans, yes or no, I guess. Though it's not particularly important anywhere near now. So, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that I'm probably gonna have to figure out as I go, which is fine. I'm not the first person to do this sort of thing, and, I'm probably not gonna be the last. Oh yeah, what is a Polyworld, you might be asking? I've not really explained that. That's probably going to be in the title of the video, Minecraft Polyworld or whatever. Basically, okay, so we have different terrain generators in different versions. A Polyworld would just be any given world that uses multiple different terrain generators, or has terrain from multiple different terrain generators, I suppose. Once custom worlds are added, that's gonna be fun until 1.13 happens. Also gonna need to make sure I get amplified and shit in here, because those chunks are also gonna be fun to have. Let's see. Yeah, I suppose what to build is probably gonna be, a relatively frequent question I have for people in the comments. Hi Steve, you're in a hole. See a little bridge here. We're not probably gonna make anything too fancy or anything for this village. It'll just be a basic thing. Probably ruins or whatever is what it's gonna end up looking like in the final version of the world. Or something to that effect, anyway. You get to the old chunks and they're just very empty, I guess. Right, there's a thing I could do. Biomes. Like, how to handle biomes and shit. That's gonna be interesting, actually. I might be able to see if I can do stuff with a data pack to preserve, more functional versions of, like, old biomes and stuff, but, if not, I guess that's, what should correlate with what is gonna be a question that'll be asked. Also, yep, I fucked up my mouse on accident. There's a DPI button on it, and I hit it. It's normally set to max DPI, and I, fucked up by, hitting the button on accident. But, what biomes correlate to what? Like, also, biome color changes in certain places might, be a question for the world data pack. Because undoubtedly it's gonna have a, like, small data pack to go with it. Probably nothing, like, nothing huge, and I'm probably gonna end up needing to update the world download every so often with, like, just, here's, the fucking latest version of the data pack so that it actually maintains functionality. I am very much rambling at this point. I can't tell whether or not this is going to be any longer or shorter than the previous part of the video, but, I started editing it already, actually. I just, took the first bit of the video, and then before getting back to playing, I, started editing already, just to get a bit of a handle on it, because I've not really done editing for anything like this before. That took, a while, like, at least an hour, probably more. I'd say probably an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours is the ballpark of, how long it took to edit the previous half of this video, and that was, like... That's only, like, the previous half of this video. To be fair, I am new at this, so it might become a bit easier over time, but... Yeah. That's a thing. Let's continue to just dig out this trench. I guess there's another question, different things that could be done with the, or rather, different things I can do while playing this to keep it a bit, like, fresh or whatever, like, should I go into creative mode? Am I allowed to do weird duplication glitches and shit? Stuff like that. Because with creative mode you could potentially get extra stuff in the world, but, like, I'd need ideas and shit. There's probably gonna be, some amount of interesting loot. Oh, that's a thing I could do. Biome, like, color tints or whatever for the water once we get around to versions, where that's actually a thing. We could, apply Bedrock Edition style, like, colors and shit for the water. But, okay, for now I'm just gonna build shitty houses. Shitty little square houses. What's the dimensions of the thing that I'm thinking? What is it, like? This isn't even accurate. It's not mossy cobble, it's just regular cobble. Why am I doing this? Doesn't matter. Sort of in-dev house style thing here with basic-ass cobble. Why make this? Because there's there's nothing here, so I should probably be making things for here myself. For this weird little corner of the world. But yeah, the in-dev house is just... In in-dev, you spawn in a house. It's a very bad and ugly house, but it's a thing that exists, and it, depending on the version of in-dev, it either, has chests in it, or it's made of wood and has a stone floor. There are a couple of torches in it in the actual house, but, this is not an actual in-dev house, it's just a quick recreation of one made entirely out of cobblestone. I don't know whether or not I should expect the people watching this to know about weird old Minecraft shit or not. I'll talk about it anyway, just in case, but yeah. I don't know if this is, reaching an audience of people who, I don't know if this is reaching an audience of people, generally, but, I don't know if this is gonna end up reaching an audience of people who are more familiar with, like, modern Minecraft, or if it's gonna end up being, like, people who are already into old Minecraft, and therefore would probably already know a fair chunk of this stuff. Let's build more houses. I know there's gonna be, a handful of versions that I might have to do, like, recreations or whatever of, kind of, basically just, terrain generation for a specific version might not be, like, available, but we might, like, know exactly what the, or rather the version itself might not be available while the terrain generation is. So, might have to go ahead and, set that up, I guess. I know there's specifically a version with, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's, like, square trees. They're, like, lollipops, kind of, but, like, it's just a square. We don't have that particular version, but we have a version with the same terrain generation minus the trees, and I have, I made a small mod that basically, reintroduces a mechanic or two that, or not mechanic, but, like, is it a... There's, blue fog in the missing version, which was changed to white fog in the version that we have. I just have a mod that has blue fog and the, weird trees. The weird, shitty trees. But yeah, that's probably gonna end up being featured here. There's gonna be some... I don't know. Maybe there might even be fucking... terrain in weird places? Like, I don't know, like... The, there was a scrapped, like, sky dimension, basically, at one point. I might include some chunks from that in the end. Though that might also be a terrible idea, because Endermen are gonna just tear up the surface of it. But then again, I could always just change the blocks, maybe? I don't know. I know I'm gonna be using in-dev shit, and, like... Actually, that's gonna be interesting to figure out how to do. How do I place the in-dev stuff? Do I put the floating islands above, like, existing terrain? That might be neat. I could also put some of the floating islands in the end instead, which could also be interesting. I guess it depends. That could be something that I do polls for, actually. Just to see what people would want out of it. Not a whole lot more to say about this version. It's just, oh, all the fucking Steves fell out of the world, I guess. Or most of them, at least. There's a place that does still have Steves, though, that I am certain of. Are there Steves over... Okay, there's Steves over here. But there will still be Steves in the Steve hole. Eventually, there will be many more of these. But for now, it'll just be those ones. Let's see. I'll put one more house down. And then call it. But, yeah. That'll be a thing to vote on, I guess. Like... Also, if I have any, possible building ideas, but I'm not, settled on anything, I could do polls for that. There's probably gonna be a lot of polls involved in this. Anyway, though, yeah, fucking Polyworld shit. It's gonna be fun to have a Polyworld with basically every terrain generator that's been in the game possible, if I can get it to. And, also just with weird little structures scattered about, these sorts of things for people to find in the, released version. Sure, let's just put these bad windows in. Someone's gonna scream about it in the comments. Yeah, though, I think I'll call it there for this episode, so see you in the next one, I guess.
Moving looks but for a tree, moving is before no.